Hi guys, how are you today? So in the last videos I have featured about the interview I had, and that was a good news because it was successful. I was being accepted, and now I'm working now in there as a casual employee. So I will share to you today the interview experience I have with that hospital. So after I applied to that hospital online. So I sent all my documents online, and then because they always advertise online, so I applied online. I upload all my documents, my resume, my cover letter, what else, my experiences and everything online. And then a month later I was called in for an interview. So that was like, yeah, a long wait, but that's okay because I am still currently working. So I will share to you the interview that I had, the experience I had in that hospital where I got the interview from. So the first tip I'm gonna give you is that if you will at least research a bit or give you a head start, look up on their, like, on where you're applying for, look up for their mission statement, the vision, their core values, of the organization you're applying for. So just read on that part, and then just internalize what are their mission and vision, what are their values, the little bit of background of the organization, their coverage and everything. So the first question usually being asked on a nursing interview is that they will ask you, tell me about yourself. So I have a note here where I have to write it down. So just you can actually look in YouTube, like there's so many YouTube videos out there that you can based on. So with tell me about yourself question, you can just make a little timeline of your background that is related to the job you're applying for. For example, like your volunteer work, your previous employment, where are you from, how long have you worked, things like that. You can put that up in your answer in the question, tell me about yourself, especially of course your name, your age, your education background and everything, etc. So you can put it there. And then they will ask you about, well, it really depends on the organization, but these are the just the general questions. So the next one would be, what do you know about our organization? So you will be asked about that question. So at least you Google or research beforehand about their values, their background, how long has that been on for, the organization, the history, a little bit of history. Yeah, so what do you know about the organization? Why do you want to work with us? So they will also ask you about that. So you just say that you want to be part of the team. You've heard a lot of word by mouth that this organization is very good. They have really good environment, cultural environment, working environment, and yeah, just like that, things that are very, great to listen to. So doing a bit of research ahead of time, you can really ace the interview. And if you know what you are going to say, then it's a bit less, your feelings of nervousness will be listened down a bit if you at least Google a bit or search a bit of what you're going to say. So the next question that they ask for is that they will ask you about, have you had a conflict with a colleague or staff member, and how do you deal with it? So with that one, you can just say, like, they will ask you if you have a conflict. So never say no that you haven't had a conflict, because they might think like it's so unreal, because usually most of the time, well, not most of the time, but there's always a conflict in between colleagues. So just say yes, you have, but you manage or handled it well. Like, you just assess the situation and then think of like who contributed to that conflict, and if it's yourself, then try to push your emotions aside and then try to listen. The most important word is the listen word. Like you try to listen to the other side of the story, and then you weigh whoever is had a fault of the beginning of that conflict, and if it's you, try to listen and apologize and everything like that. So at least you're trying to show off yourself that you can handle situations like that, and if it happens, then you can manage to not escalate the situation. So that's the how you handle conflict. And then another question is, what would you do if there's a complaint from the customers? So what you would likely say would be like this: if there's a complaint from the customers or clients, another thing is you have to say the word listen. You listen to their side. You listen to their side. Ask them if there's anything you can do. But if it still doesn't resolve, you can either say there's a feedback form. There's always like a feedback form where they can put their feedbacks and complaints. Well, they can send it to the management, or if not, you can either talk to your manager or a person in charge to help you manage the complaint of the clientele or the clients or the patients. So that's how you say it if you will be asked of how you're gonna manage a complaint. And next question would be, what would you do if you found someone on the floor, or if a patient had a fall? So that's one of the questions. Also, if you are applying in a hospital, they will ask you if what would you do. It's like a case scenario. Like there's a scenario where you will be asked on what you're gonna do. Like for example, like what would you do if someone had a fall? Of course you will of course you will assess their vital signs. You do a neuro-obs and everything, and the most important thing is that you have to call the family that their family member had a fall and everything. So yeah, things like that. Another scenario they will be asking is that for example, it's more like first aid or like CPR like that. So a question would be, what would you do if you found someone on the floor unconscious? So you will apply your knowledge on basic life support. Another question is also a scenario. Well, that one was being asked to me during the interview. Say, what would you do if a person showing signs of chest pain? It's up to you what you're gonna do, but make sure you will satisfy your answer will satisfy them. For example, you will get their blood pressure or vital signs. You get their vital signs, and then there's drugs you will give to relieve the chest pain, and then what you're gonna do next and everything like that. So yeah, there's so many scenarios they can ask. So you just use your knowledge. Of course, you studied long time to become this one, to become a nurse, to become a nurse, to work in a hospital. So you should have all that knowledge if you will be asked with a scenario like that. So it's pretty basic scenario, but you will never know what questions you will be asked for. So make a little review. So yeah, so what else? Yeah, and actually they will also ask you if what do you know about their organization. So you will have to look on their, it's actually raining here, you will have to look on their values, their mission and vision, because they will ask you like if they have like their values are compassion, integrity, responsibility, excellence. You will choose any of that, and then they will ask you to explain or give an example on how you're gonna show, how you're gonna impart those values to your clients, to your patients. So yeah, those are the questions they were going to ask. And then the interview doesn't take long. It's like 20 minutes, and there's 2 people that's gonna interview you. There's 2, and then as the time you talk, they also write at the same time. They will write down all your answers in a piece of paper, and then after they ask all your questions, they will ask you if you have any questions. So it's always good to have a question if they ask you if you have any question, because it just means that you are interested and keen to know more about their organization or how their system works. So for example, you will ask them how's the rostering work, or how's the scheduling of shift work and everything, if you can choose a shift or whatever. But never ask if how much is the patient ratio, or how much is the pay rate, because I think it's a no asking all those questions. Just ask about, like, do you want to know more about the organization, like, yeah, like those kind of things. So if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. And also check out my other videos about IELTS and PTE, because I've tried I have taken the IELTS and the PTE previously before I landed to this job, or that was the requirements I needed to become a nurse. So I have a video beforehand. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope to see you again on my next one. Check out my other videos if you like, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again next time. Bye.